Your roadmap to the latest in auto? Welcome to Highway Herald. Trade tensions are heating up, and Canada just slammed a 25% tariff on US-made vehicles in a bold counter to Trump's sweeping tariff push. What started as a call for reciprocity has exploded into a high-stakes standoff, with EVs caught in the middle. Auto factories are bracing, dealerships are stalling, and the EV rollout faces fresh hurdles. From policy battles to supply chain shocks, the fallout is real. Buckle up. Here are 5 gear-grinding reasons this trade war could reshape the EV world. Reason number 5. Canada fires back with precision. The 25% tariff strike. Canada didn't just retaliate, it calibrated its counterstrike with mechanical precision. When President Trump rolled out a sweeping 25% tariff on imported vehicles and non-USMCA compliant goods, Ottawa didn't mirror the brute force strategy. Instead, Canada executed a more calculated approach, one that's both disruptive and strategic. By zeroing in on US-manufactured vehicles while exempting certain auto parts, Canada avoided completely derailing its own manufacturing operations. Automakers were offered a way out through a remissions process, though that path is anything but smooth. It's a bureaucratic maze that adds time, cost, and complexity to an already strained supply chain. Here's the kicker. Even if a car meets CUSMA standards, it may still be penalized if it contains parts from outside North America. That's a major blow for companies like Ford or Stellantis, who rely on globally sourced components. For EV makers, whose battery systems often depend on Asian imports, the impact hits even harder. The outcome? Higher EV prices in Canada and reduced competitiveness for US vehicles. It's not just a tariff, it's a chess move. And with this one, Canada has the US industry thinking several moves ahead. But precision retaliation isn't the only challenge on the road. Complex trade frameworks like CUSMA are turning into a whole new obstacle for automakers. Reason number 4. CUSMA, from free trade framework to compliance quagmire. CUSMA was built to grease the gears of North American trade, but today, it's starting to look more like a regulatory pothole. Trump's aggressive reapplication of tariffs under Section 232, citing national security, overrides CUSMA's promise of duty-free trade for vehicles with 75% North American content. That sparked confusion, and in some cases, outright chaos at customs checkpoints. Suddenly, it's not enough for a car to be CUSMA compliant. If it includes a little too much foreign content, it may still be flagged. For EVs, that's a nightmare. Battery components, inverters, and rare minerals are almost always globally sourced. So, even if an EV rolls off a Michigan assembly line, Korean battery cells could throw it into the penalty box. Automakers now face a wrenching decision: overhaul supply chains to meet shifting thresholds, or bite the bullet and absorb the tariff hit. That decision doesn't just affect spreadsheets, it hits showroom floors. Compliance costs trickle down to consumers, driving prices up and muddying timelines for EV rollouts. What was once billed as a seamless trade pact has become a maze of paperwork and uncertainty. And in that maze, EV manufacturers are burning daylight and dollars. Before we delve deeper, we'd appreciate it if you could subscribe to Highway Herald. Your support fuels our passion to bring more updates and insights from the world of cars and trade. Hit that subscribe button and stay in the loop. Now let's shift gears to the real-world effects on EV adoption across North America. Reason number 3. EV momentum sputters as tariffs jam the gears. Electric vehicles were supposed to be the next big wave, gliding effortlessly into garages across North America. Instead, they're sputtering on the shoulder, sidelined by a two-pronged trade crisis that's jolting the entire EV supply chain. In the US, automakers are already grappling with soaring battery costs. Now, with a 25% tariff slapped on components from Asia, such as lithium-ion cells from China and South Korea, the financial strain has reached a breaking point. Tesla, GM, and Rivian are redlining their cost models just to stay in the race. Meanwhile, in Canada, the retaliatory 25% import tariff on US-made EVs is compounding the pain. For buyers, that surcharge can turn a purchase into a pass. Dealers are reporting slower foot traffic. New model launches are being shelved. The momentum of the EV movement is getting mired in red tape. And China, the linchpin of global battery supply, looms large. Any further friction could choke the pipeline of rare earths and lithium. The promise of clean transportation is being undercut by geopolitics. Right now, EVs are caught in the crosshairs. And the deeper you look, the more you'll see how trade chaos is triggering cost spirals on both sides of the border. Reason number 2, cross-border chaos and the cost spiral. The global auto industry, once a well-oiled cross-border machine, is now grinding under the weight of trade disruption. Trump's tariff-driven strategy, especially the 25% duty on Canadian steel and aluminum, has thrown automakers on both sides of the border into damage control. These core materials, essential for everything from vehicle frames to EV battery enclosures, are suddenly more expensive and harder to move. But cost is just one part of the problem. The real jam-up lies in compliance. To qualify for CUSMA exemptions, automakers must now navigate a bureaucratic labyrinth, documenting where every part came from, how much of it is locally sourced, and how it was transformed. For electric vehicles, which depend on global parts like semiconductors and battery components, the process has become painfully slow and unpredictable. The result? Consumers are footing the bill. Experts estimate a $2,000 to $3,000 jump in average vehicle prices. For EVs, which are still clawing toward price parity with gas-powered cars, it's a major setback. And behind the scenes, automakers are quietly reconsidering where and how they build cars. North America's leadership in automotive innovation may be at serious risk, which leads us to the big picture: how global partnerships and political shifts are redrawing the automotive map. Reason number 1. New alliances, new roads, the geopolitical realignment. This isn't just a tariff tiff, it's a full-blown realignment of the global auto map. The historic partnership between Canada and the US, built over decades of joint manufacturing, shared platforms, and cross-border supply chain integration, is beginning to crack under pressure. In response to Trump's aggressive tariff regime, Canada is shifting gears. It's strengthening trade ties with Mexico, accelerating collaboration under CETA with Europe, and actively exploring economic partnerships with China and South American nations, particularly in sectors like mining, battery materials, and electric vehicle technologies. This isn't just diversification, it's a potential structural shift away from US-centered production. Canadian provinces are entertaining proposals from European EV startups and Asian battery giants, many of whom see Canada as a stable alternative to America's unpredictable trade climate. Meanwhile, the political temperature is rising fast. Canadian opposition leaders are seizing on the turmoil to challenge Prime Minister Carney's leadership, while US lawmakers across the aisle are questioning the economic and diplomatic fallout of Trump's tariff-first strategy. If this standoff drags on, the consequences may be lasting. Automakers could reroute production, redirect partnerships, and redefine where the next generation of EVs is built, and who builds them. Final gear: trade wars and the EV horizon. As the dust settles from this high-octane standoff, one thing is clear: the EV revolution has reached a critical junction. Tariffs have gone from being mere economic levers to seismic forces shaping where cars are built, how much they cost, and who will drive the future of mobility. What used to be a streamlined North American production system is now gridlocked with tariffs, shifting trade alliances, and political uncertainty. The dream of accessible, affordable EVs is no longer hindered by innovation. It's being challenged by geopolitics. So we hand the keys to you, fellow road warriors. Will Canada's new trade ties with Europe or Asia reshape the EV market more than Washington expects? Can domestic supply chains rise fast enough? Or will costs skyrocket first? Are automakers ready to adapt? Or will some shift entirely out of North America? Would you pay more for an EV that's made closer to home? Are we witnessing the dawn of a new global auto order? Drop your thoughts below. And don't forget to subscribe to Highway Herald. Thanks for riding with us, and see you next time. You can now check out any of the videos on the screen. There's more exciting and informative content waiting for you.